Okie dokie artichoke. I will kickstart this and basically introduce myself. And if you're new here, let me know what your name is and where you're from. So I am Connor, originally from Pittsburgh. I will always be Connor from Pittsburgh, and I'm coming to you from Los Angeles. I have about 7 questions that I'm just gonna walk through and answer real quick. It's a little bit more focused, a little bit more niche as far as like the subject of this. So hopefully I can serve you. Hopefully I can make you a little bit better after watching this live. The highlights that we're gonna talk about today are going to be all fitness related, all fitness focused. So we're going to talk about weight loss plateaus. We're going to talk about bloating. We're going to talk about deloads, increasing our bench press. And then lastly, just a little bit about discipline and motivation. So the first question that we're going to talk a little bit about is on weight loss and weight loss plateaus specifically. This is the question. What is your advice when you've reached a weight loss plateau after a long period of weight loss? Typically you have 2 options, right? You could either further decrease calories, or you could increase your activity level. Like those are 2 ways to further put you into something called a caloric deficit. If I want to look at something like a 1 pound of fat loss per week, typically I'll place myself in about a 500 calories, like a 500 caloric deficit is sort of like what I'll start off with, see how that goes week over week. And if I'm not maintaining like a 1 pound of fat loss week over week, then I'll sort of adjust that. The reason why 500 calories is the number that I start out with is because typically a pound of fat is about 3,500 calories. And if you break that down on the daily throughout the week, 3,500 divided by 7, 7 days in a week comes out to 500 calories, right? And so on the daily, we're going to be in something like negative 500 caloric deficit each and every day. Like that's the number of calories we'll eat at, right? So that is a little science behind all that. To get back to this question, as far as like, what do we do if we hit a plateau? So if we reach a point where we're limiting ourselves on the diet side, where we're like really restricting calories and it's getting like super, super low and we're feeling hungry, constantly, typically it's not going to be the best thing to introduce a further caloric deficit, right? To like further decrease your calories, because you're just going to be that much more miserable and it's not going to be a fun time. It's not going to be fun. So typically what I like to do is then maybe go into the activity level side and increase our cardio. And typically if we're not, if we're tracking a step count, I'll increase the step count on a day-to-day basis. But if we're not doing that for whatever reason, then typically I'll kind of increase cardio a little bit. And then if we're at a point where cardio is sort of at like an excessive level, where, I don't want to restrict any more calories too much. I don't want to increase cardio because it's like taking up way too much of our time throughout the week, and it's taking away from other activities in our lives. Then the third option that I actually like to introduce, something called like a refeed, designed to sort of give you a break from dieting overall, and then also introduce some kind of like stimulant to your metabolism that you haven't really seen in quite some time. So it's magic, right? Because they're eating more food, but they're also losing weight at the same time. It's not exactly like how you would expect to like logically think weight loss would happen. So sometimes that's a good stimulant to your metabolism, where it's a good like change up and a good mental break for yourself. That's something that I kind of like to introduce for my clients if we have been dieting for a long time, we're starting to plateau for a week or a couple weeks. That's something that I like to introduce at that point. All right, question number 2 is on bloating. The question is this. So this person is having trouble increasing their calories without being bloated. Any advice? Sort of the opposite from the last question, right? So if we're in a caloric surplus, we're trying to put on muscle, we're trying to gain weight, which is what I'm personally trying to do now. This person is increasing their calories, but what comes with that is they're having trouble with like bloating in their stomach and digestive issues and everything that come with that. Something that you do have to watch out for is everyone's going to have different digestion. Everyone's going to have like they're going to be sensitive to certain foods. They're going to be sensitive to a certain number of calories. And some people can just like pound food like no other and put on weight like it's easy and nothing and not have any problems with digestion. Bloating and digestion is something that it's not really an issue for someone who wants to lose fat, because the calories are sort of restricted. We're not like really eating a whole lot of calories that our body needs to digest, and we need to get through the system without having any like residue, if you want to call it, like in our digestive tract. It is something that does become somewhat of a concern for me. If we're sort of in a lean bulking phase, and we're in a phase that we're trying to put on muscle. We're trying to like eat enough food that our body can be in this sort of anabolic state that we're putting on muscle, and it's this environment that's good and conducive for gaining lean muscle mass onto our bodies. So the reason for that being that calories are super high and we're eating a lot more food, right? So my advice for this would be a very simple one, would be increase your water intake if you're kind of having some trouble with bloating. So increasing water intake is going to help with digestion for the most part. And maybe if you already kind of consuming like a certain amount of water intake level, maybe we could gradually increase that week over week. What I personally like to recommend when it comes to hydration levels for men is at least a gallon per day of water, of fluid intake, basically. So basically a gallon is about 128 fluid ounces. So if you were to think about like a 32 fluid ounce water bottle or something like that, it'd be about 4 of those, right? If you have like a 16.9 fluid ounce water bottle, it'd be about 8 of those, right? So that's typically for men. On the women's side, I typically say about 3/4 of a gallon, so about 96 to 100 fluid ounces per day is a good number. We're kind of good on our water intake and our hydration levels throughout the day. Maybe we could look into like taking some kind of probiotics. Maybe we can look at the types of food that we're eating to ensure that like maybe we're eating a certain food that isn't just gelling with our body, right? Like for me, like I know a lot of people are like lactose intolerant. I know a lot of people are like gluten free because their body can't really process lactose properly and gluten properly, right? So a lot of like yogurt, breads, ice cream, things like that, like beer don't really gel with their stomach really well. And maybe we could start, if we're like not eating those because that like your body doesn't do well enough with those, maybe we could look to like taking some kind of probiotic to kind of help with our digestion and things like that. Next question is this. So we're gonna talk about deload weeks now. And it sort of ties in this next question, so maybe I can just answer that too. Next question is, I've been going to the gym for about a year. I'm a woman, I work on my arms and a little of chest, but I can't get a bigger PR for bench press. Any tips? I'm gonna answer this question along with describing what a deload week is and the intention and purpose behind it, along with this question of increasing our bench press and our personal record on bench press. So a deload week, the intention is to sort of give us this recovery week. I like to give it a little bit more of structure. So still following the same workout split. If we're going to the gym 3 days a week, we're still going to go to the gym for those 3 days of a week, 3 days throughout the week. We're still going to hit maybe the same kind of workout split. So maybe if we're following like a push-pull legs, we're still going to follow a push-pull legs workout split. We're still going to go 3 days a week. The only difference is the volume. We're going to back down our volume to typically about 80% is what I like to say. So if we're doing 3 sets of 10 reps, maybe we back down to doing 2 sets of 8 reps. So about 80% on the sets, 80% on the reps is what I like to say. And then also on the weight that we're using, I like to say at least 80% of the typical weight that you're used to using. So it's going to feel a lot lighter. You're going to spend a lot less time at the gym for your workouts. So maybe if you're used to spending an hour at the gym for your typical training sessions, maybe you only spend about 80% of that, at the gym. So maybe it's only about 45%, or 45 minutes at the gym instead of an hour, right? I like to do that. I like to incorporate a deload week. Typically, if you've never done one before, I like to make it a little bit more rigid and a little bit more structured and regimented. So we're gonna do it one time every month. We're gonna do it one time every 5 weeks or something like that. About 4 to 5 to 6 weeks, we're gonna do a deload week. What I personally do now, I don't make it as frequent. I actually do it when I feel like I need a deload week. So I'll try and make it to the end of like a cycle, like about a month. Let's just say I'm on like a cycle of about a month, right? When it comes to doing different like rep and volume schemes, right? So if I do like an A week, a B week, a C week, and then like a PR week or something where I'm testing my strength, then maybe at the end, try to make it to the end of that cycle, and then I'll sort of self-assess if I feel like I want to include a deload week in there. Okay, how am I feeling? Do I need a deload week? No, let me hop back into like my cycle again for the month, and then I'll make it to the end of the cycle, and then I'll be like, do I need a deload week? Yes, then maybe I'll start my deload week. So this next one is really just about your opinion / life. What is more important, discipline or motivation to keep you on track and stay on track in the gym, and also with your nutrition? So yeah, I feel like this is like an age-old question when it comes to just the fitness space, right? Like you see all these sound bites when it comes to like this answer and everything. So I'm more of a systems kind of guy. Like I'm more of like what is this? Is there a system that I could sort of follow or put in place into my life that I can follow consistently, and it's not too inconvenient for me to follow, that I'm just like not gonna adhere to it, I'm not gonna fix it, because that's like the ultimate thing. Yes, Bethany, yep. So discipline is 100% my answer. And so like I've always been that kind of guy. I've always been like, what kind of system that can I put in place that can sort of support me to, like, if I have a goal that I want to accomplish, that's obviously going to be somewhat inconvenient if it comes to physically, if I have a physical goal that I want to accomplish. Like for me personally, like I really wanted to hit a 315 bench press, because like I mentioned before, my bench press has always been kind of sucky, and I always wanted to hit 3 plates because I thought it looked so cool when someone did that. And so what I did was, I try to place systems like in place where it's like, this is, I'm going to have deload weeks when I feel like I need to have a deload week. I'm going to do less volume on my isolation workouts. When it comes to my chest, I'm going to do, practice on my form a little bit better, and things like that. And so eventually I was able to hit like a 315 bench press a couple weeks ago, and I was super, super amped and super proud and pumped up about that. But on the same note, like on the same token, like I'd also listen to like, music to literally get me amped and pumped up to like hit that lift in that moment. So I feel like that's a good answer in response to that is, if there's like short bits of pieces, if you're like running or something like that, I feel like motivation can help when it comes to like the physical side of things. But obviously over time, you're not going to be able to see, it's hard. You can't really rely on that if you want to see like lasting change, right? And I think like being able to rely upon systems that are in place like within your life, if that means having some kind of like supporting partner or like friend that you go and work out with like week over week or a few times a week to keep you like accountable, I think that's really good discipline, that you could kind of adhere to your plans in that way. I'd probably say that's my 2 cents on that. On is definitely relying upon discipline and developing that as a really good habit into your life. It's a perishable how would you say, like trait, I guess, like character trait or whatever, that skill set, I guess it would be. So like the more you practice it into your life, the more it just becomes like business as usual, right? So you're just like, the more things that you do that require discipline you become more of a disciplined person, right? So, and you don't have to rely on things to like motivate you to like get out of bed and go do your workout in the morning or something like that, or to eat your calories, like stay within your calories at the end of the day. So, that would be my 2 cents. So wants to work together. I would love to help you, if we're the right fit for each other. I'd love to like hop on a phone call with you and just get to know you a little bit more and see if we're the right fit, and we can kind of go forward from there. So I think there's a form that you can fill out in this live, so I'm told that I put in here somewhere. So if you want to fill out some of your information, you can give me your name, your email, and your phone number. I'll contact you, I'll get in touch with you, and hopefully we can make some good progress kind of going forward if you feel like that's what you need. So yeah, that is all I got. Thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate you guys. I love you guys always. And I will see you at this time next week for a second one. So love you guys always, and see you soon. Peace.